Hello everyone, welcome to my show Speak with GRV. My name is Gaurav Singh. Speak with GRV is an online talk show where we tell you inspiring stories. Our aim is even if one person gets inspired by these stories and goes on to make big in his or her life, our job would be done. Talking about today's guest, well, he's a special person. In fact, I consider myself really lucky that he could find time out of his busy schedule and come onto the show. So, without any further delay, introducing today's guest on Speak with GRV. So, today we have on our show Vivek Atray sir. Vivek sir is an ex-IAS officer, motivational speaker. He has given 8 TED Talks and 3 Josh Talks and has more than 4 million views on his social media handles. Sir has spoken in India and abroad for the Indian Army, NASCOM, CII, TIE, NCGG, Labasna, IIFT, ISB, and various other universities, colleges, and schools. Sir is also the founder of SUVICHAR think tank and a visiting professor at Shoolini University. Sir is also the member of CSR Advisory Board of ActionAid and a member of Governors Advisory Council for Chandigarh. As a director of IT, he was the man behind Chandigarh IT Park. He spearheaded the award-winning E-Sampark project. Sir is also fond of cricket and has represented KVS in the coveted CK Naidu Trophy in his schooling days. Sir also organizes All India JP Atray Cricket Tournament annually since 1992 in the memory of his late father, where renowned cricketers from legendary Mr. Kapil Dev to the young sensation Shubhman Gill have taken part. Recently, Sir also authored a book, Finding Success Within, which was in fact shared by Kapil Dev too. Sir has achieved so much in his life that it is difficult to put everything in a single video. And that is the reason why the word all-rounder perfectly suits him. So, without any further delay, let's start the interview. So here is Speak with GRV in conversation with Vivek Atray sir. So hello to all the viewers. My name is Gaurav Singh and I'm the host of the show Speak with GRV. And today we have one special guest on our show, Vivek Atray sir. So first of all, I would like to say thank you so much, sir, for coming on to this show and doing this gesture. It means a lot to us. And Vivek sir is someone who really needs no introduction. He has been an IAS officer. He has been in the administrative services for 26 years, 19 years in HCS, and then 7 years as an IAS officer. Then he moved on and followed a second innings since he really likes playing cricket and he was fond of playing cricket and went into speaking and writing. He has given more than 8 plus TED Talks, Josh Talks, has more than 25 million views on YouTube, and there are many more achievements which we already showed you in the introduction. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on to the show, and it really means a lot to us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
So, sir, we'll start with our questions right now. So, sir, the first question that I would like to ask is, you have played cricket, you have played in the category of under 19, you have represented at the national level. You always wanted to be a cricketer. In fact, the talks that you give, you mention the word all-rounder, which comes from that cricketing fraternity also, that word. So, sir, how that transition happened from somebody who wanted to play for the country, being a cricketer, to an IAS officer?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Gaurav. Actually, I started out like most youngsters want to be either in India's cricket team or in Bollywood. You know, yes. You have those dreams at that time. You're a teenager. I was serious. I was serious about cricket. I started playing seriously at the age of 14 when my coach was Mr. D.P. Azad, Desh Prem Azad, who's also been Kapil Dev's coach. Okay. Hitan Sharma, Kapil Dev, in Sector 16 Stadium, Chandigarh, which is an international stadium. So I moved from Delhi to Chandigarh at the age of 14 and I enrolled in his academy, in the government stadium academy there. I started playing and I became very fond of the game and I was reasonably good. I used to be an opening batsman and I was okay. I mean, there were very good players there, but I was holding my place. And then when I was about 17 years old, I played for the first time the CK Naidu. And CK Naidu is an All India national level tournament where I represented KVS, All India Central Schools, as a state. And then I played again in class 12. So class 11 and class 12, both years I played twice. And then what happened that my father said, after 12th, obviously you have to take a decision about your college. And he said, you have to try for engineering. And he was right. So I got admission in engineering first in NIT Kurukshetra. Actually, I got admission in the Haryana Engineering College, which had guest students in NIT Kurukshetra. But ultimately, we passed out and graduated from NIT Kurukshetra in electronics. I graduated. And when I got into the engineering college, then cricket took a back seat because it was not possible to play serious cricket in an engineering college in Kurukshetra. Whereas in Chandigarh, I could have. But if you look at Srinath, Kumble, Shrikant, all these South Zone players who became great players for India, they are all engineers. And they played for India. But I had to somehow forego my cricket dream. And I guess I was not as good as I should have been at that time at 18 to play for India. So I also realized somewhere it was depressing for me to give up the game and get to studies and engineering. But ultimately, after engineering, then I got into the Haryana Civil Service and then was promoted, as you said, from HCS to IAS much later. But at that stage, I knew that actually my father passed away when I was a graduate engineer and he was an IPS officer. So when he passed away in service, I got a job in his place in HCS. And then I was able to serve for 26 years in HCS and IAS. But my father suddenly left this world, so my plans became necessarily that I have to serve. So it became a service.
So that's really wonderful to hear, actually, having such a journey. Sir, how much role, I would ask, your father played in making your inclination toward administrative services? As you have mentioned, seeing your father in uniform, an IPS officer, it does, give you goosebumps. You want to follow that career. So how was that impact?
Yeah, it was superb actually to see him. He was a very calm and very creative and very gentle officer, very solid, and he was very inspiring. Every one of his family, friends, everybody looked up to him. He was very senior. He was additional DGP when he passed away. And he was very good at his work. So it was very inspiring to see him. And yeah, definitely I tried for the UPSC exam at that point when I wanted to also get into the IAS or IPS like him. At that time, I was studying and preparing for the exams, but then he fell ill and he passed away. So then I got a job in the HCS directly.
Okay. So now being in the administrative services for 26 long years, it's a very long career and illustrious career. So what do you think, sir, are the qualities that are needed for being a quality officer? Because as you have mentioned again and again, all eyes are on you. If, one thing goes wrong, there is media, everybody's behind you. So how do you handle so much of pressure? Plus, what do you think are the qualities needed, not only in, let's say, in government jobs, in these services, even in private, as a leader, as an officer?
Wonderful question. I think this is the most important question you can ask because all the young people watching, I have spoken about this in many of my videos and live audiences have also heard me, but it's very important to repeat. Officer-like qualities, they come from head and heart. They can be ingrained also, injected also in terms of training, in terms of learning, in terms of courses, in terms of studies, but it is very much from within that these qualities come. So level-headedness, not being self-centered, being balanced, being calm, thinking of others, being very balanced during pressure times, being of serviceful nature, helping others, helpful nature, being cheerful, being compassionate. All these are qualities that an officer needs. And also quick thinking ability, decision-making ability, creative thinking ability, and the ability to withstand all kinds of forces and maintain composure. For example, I'll give you an example. A young officer goes to the field, he's posted somewhere, elections are on, some minister is coming, public is in his office, it's hot, it's difficult, and suddenly the media comes, there's a mic in his face, Sir, please tell us about this. He might lose his cool.
Exactly.
He can lose his cool. He's a human being, but you cannot afford to as an officer. An officer has to remain calm and composed at all times. And that will give him that officer-like quality. Similarly, in the corporate world, as you asked, leadership in any field. In fact, I've written an article on leadership, and I've mentioned this, that we need to train leaders. Not only do we need to train them, we need to inspire them. You need to get in schools, colleges all over India who are producing these graduates who are going on to become CEOs also. They need to be inspired by people from all walks of life who are successful, who are outstanding, who are inspiring, people who have suffered and then come to succeed. So leaders need to learn from others, and then they need to show that leadership when it really matters. That's most important.
Yes, sir. So one important of, being a good leader or being a good officer is preparing for unprecedented situations, something which has never happened before. And if we take an example of the current times, this situation of COVID-19, Corona, this is something, a pandemic that has happened in 100 years. Nobody prepared for it. Almost everything has shifted. Jobs have shifted to online. The businesses that were offline, they have realized that being online was the key. When we talk about students, schooling, the colleges, they have also shifted to online. And a country where we like meeting people, in a country like India, we greet people. Suddenly there is a time when we are staying at home, we are staying at alone. So how does one who was having plans earlier reassess this situation, replan everything, and make sure that without, letting the situation get better of him or her, move ahead in life?
Yeah, very important point. You see, as I spoke about stressful situation, this pandemic is definitely a mega stressful situation. But there are people who are less worried and less scared than others.
Yes.
There are people who are calmer than others. They are also human beings. They are also under the same pandemic. It's not like the pandemic is partial to some people. So why is one person X more bothered and stressed out and fretting and worried and scared than Y who is relatively cool and calm? So that is what we really need to see. Why are people falling to pieces within their minds and losing the battle of the mind? When things outside are extraneous, okay, they are difficult. Somebody died in Bombay, something happened in Bangalore, something terrible may have happened in any part of the world. Why should I be stressed out with that? And pandemic is okay. I have to take precautions. I have to be sensible. I have to be cool and collected in my various things. But I don't need to go to pieces. See, Gaurav, change is the only constant. And challenges come in life. Wars came in the last century, World War I, World War II, India went through 3 wars. So there are so many difficult situations which have arisen before. If you look at it, COVID at the moment has been 4 months we have been, let's say, in lockdown. Or even now it is partly open. If you look at it in a long life, 4 months or even 6 months is not going to be much of a time. And we feel at this moment that things are collapsing around us. It's not like that. So the person who comes out of this better, the person who comes out stronger, the person who comes out with more qualities is the person who's going to flourish later. A youngster who learns more in this period, who learns to be calm, learns to be strong, starts reading more books, starts learning new ideas, creative thinking comes to him or her, that person will be successful. I don't think it's as scary as it looks to any common person. If that person is following all the guidelines that the government has laid out, then we should do our best to be, as comfortable and as improvement we need to bring into our lives as much as possible.
Yes, sir. Sir, in these times, one of the important aspects of staying positive and staying calm is being healthy. And when we talk about being healthy, being energetic, it is both physically as well as mentally. Sir, in one of your talks, you had mentioned that there was a media team and there was a 14-year-old boy, who wanted to spend a day with you so that he can take a decision whether he wants to pursue IAS as a career or not. And when the day ended, the whole day shoot, they were tired, but you weren't. And sir, even if we see right now, even after serving in the administrative services, you are doing so much. You are reading, you are writing, you are giving motivational talks. So my question is, where does all that energy comes from?
It's a very good question. I feel that I can inspire many people to keep themselves energized. And I remember that video where that boy came and spent the whole day, and the media crew was wondering how does this person. But a DC's life is very hectic. And any officer who is a deputy commissioner or anything like that, he'll be working for 12 to 14 hours without stopping. And luckily, we went home for lunch that day, and that lady who was there and the young boy, they said, "Aaj hame lag raha tha we won't get any lunch, but finally we got some food also." Sir is so basically, I think one of the things that works for me, not only the energization part, but also time management and prioritization. If you prioritize your day, then you are able to have your food on time. You are able to look after your rest periods also. You are able to make constructive use of each waking moment and not waste and fritter away time. That is a very important part of being energetic also. That your attitude to life is that I must utilize this time constructively. And I think my meditation helps me to remain energetic and calm in the mind. Meditation is something I've adopted for the last 12 years or so. Kriya Yoga is what I follow, morning and evening, and I feel very fresh all throughout the day. I normally have a lot of exercise as well. I do yoga, I do walk, I do play at times cricket or badminton, whatever I can, and it's really joyous. So I think it's basically important to remain mentally fit, physically fit, and even more important is spiritual fitness, where you meditate and you connect to your inner self. That gives me the energy. Even at that time in 2014, when I was DC, or 2015 when this video was shot, at that time also I used to meditate, and it really helped me. So I think that helps.
So you mentioned the word connect, and being in the current situation, people are more virtually connected than being physically connected. And what this has led to is, teenagers being awake till 3 a.m., till 4 a.m. in the morning, stuck to their gadgets, and their physical health is going for a toss. So, sir, what advice would you like to give those students or those youths?
I think you ask a very important question here. Very, very important. The youth has to balance their lives. Young people have to understand that physical fitness and mental fitness are both important. So if you are lying awake till 3 o'clock, you like doing that, your friend is awake, you are chatting, you are on Instagram. I in fact jokingly say sometimes, where do you live? So Gurugram is 1 gram, Instagram is another gram. So you might be living on Instagram. The point is that we have to use Instagram, we have to use WhatsApp, but we should not allow them to use us. They cannot become our bosses. And we have to balance our lives by being physically fit, by going outdoors, by exercising, by running, walking, playing. If you do that for 1 hour, you will sleep on time. There is no way that a person who has physically tired himself or herself outdoors or through exercise will keep awake till 3 a.m. because that sleep will come just after 11 o'clock or something. You'll start feeling sleepy. It depends on what time you wake up in the morning also. The cycle is that if you sleep at 3, you'll wake up at 11. And if you wake up at 11, then again you'll sleep at 3. So one day you have to break that cycle, get up early and then sleep early. Plus this balancing of life is very, very important. You have to tell yourself that social media is there forever. It's not going anywhere. So you have to de-addict yourself in a way. Even I am addicted at times, keep on looking at my phone. Everybody is. But we have to be disciplined. Without discipline, it won't work. Physical exercise, discipline. These two things.
Yes, sir. So moving on to the next question, and this is a question from the fraternity that you come from, administrative services. Sir, there are a lot of students, who give 5 attempts, 6 attempts. And right now, given the current situation where the prelims were also, the dates were pushed by UPSC. So in these situations, when a student cannot make it even after 6 attempts, how does he or she handle that failure and say to himself or herself, this is not meant for me, although I really wanted it, and move on to something next? So I think you have mentioned in your talk that you decide, okay, this is the first best thing for you. This did not work. You go to the second best, you go to the third best. So if you could talk about that.
I absolutely agree with what I said earlier, and I agree with you also. You see, in a video, Denzel Washington, famous Hollywood actor, has said that there should be no fallback option. Even Kapil Dev and other players have said, former players, what is plan B? You have to just go for it, full throttle. But they are exceptional, world-beating kinds of individuals. You and I, if I can say so very humbly, we may not be of that level where we don't need a fallback option. We all need a plan B. So if in case you are basically qualified and you have undertaken the UPSC exam, you have written the exam, let's say 3 times, I would not advise anyone to write the exam more than 3 times. I say 3 years, and 3 years is good enough. It's your prime of your life. You are in your 20s typically, and you are at your peak. And you are, if you are spending 6 years studying and then not getting through, it is going to be disheartening. You are human. You are sitting on the 5th year, 4 bar, you appeared for the exam 4 times, and you have not succeeded. Now the 5th time on a sunny afternoon, suddenly you'll start feeling depressed. So you have to tell yourself that I will give it 2 years plus 1 year. I will write the exam, I will give my best, and I will prepare strategically. I am the mentor, Gaurav, of an academy for IAS. It's called Vivek IAS Career Academy. I'm the mentor. And I see these students, I tell them the same. Study smart, study in a focused way, get your exercise, get your nourishment, get your entertainment, whatever 6 hours, 8 hours you're putting in, make use of that. After 2 years, after 3 years, you get an idea whether you stand a chance or not. If you feel that you don't stand a chance, when I realized I can't play cricket for India, it broke my heart, but I had to move on. No? You have to move on after 3 years. Only if you are very, very close, when you feel that you reached the interview, missed by a whisker, then you go for the 4th attempt. Otherwise, leave it and know that in these 3 years, you have actually improved your personality, your knowledge, your extensive kind of research. You have become a more qualified individual in every way. So even if you don't get into the civil services, you will get somewhere else and you will do very well. So call it a day at that time.
So one thing that happens is, and I have read about this also, and I have, discussed this with my friends also. So on one hand, somebody is targeting UPSC, let's say the most prestigious job in the country, being an IAS officer. And if they are not able to make it, what happens is that most of the students are not able to take failure, and then either it's UPSC or it's nothing. Ideally, it should be because even if you have come that close to such a competitive level, you go to the next best thing or you do something else. But answer, because you have given a talk on emotional intelligence also. So how do people actually disconnect, because that emotional baggage doesn't go. It keeps on replaying just one more attempt. I might crack it. And then a lot of time also get wasted. So how do you tell yourself this, you take this bold decision that no, I think it's not meant for me. Let's move ahead.
I think you have asked a very important question again. Emotional intelligence is something I speak on. And Daniel Goleman has defined it in 7 ways. But the basic thing is that emotional intelligence is the ability to handle people and situations in a calm and balanced manner. That's my definition. Now, situations which arise in our life, unless we handle them dispassionately and calmly, we will take the wrong decision. Emotional attachment to something will be very difficult. Now, I resigned from the IAS. We're going to come to that question later. But when you resign from something that is so coveted, that means that you were detached. If you are emotionally wedded or bonded to that, you can't leave. And you can't actually leave that. You really have to be very, very careful. And you really have to get into your practical kind of avatar. Only then you will become unemotional. Of course, it is your life. But plan like this, I am 22, I am going to appear at the age of 23, 24, 25. Or 25, 26, 27. And then I'm going to take a call and move on. And this is my basic qualification is engineering or commerce or humanities. I'm going to become a this. Plan B has to be there. Also, Gaurav, I'll add one more point. I feel that only 1 year you should be sitting without a job and preparing. In the next 2 years, you should be doing a light assignment. Even if you are teaching others and taking some tuitions, you are a part-time lecturer, you are a part-time consultant. do something or the other. So keep that economic condition also fine. You feel proud of yourself that you're doing something constructive, and study. It's not easy, but people can do it.
So we really hope that all the aspirants who will be listening to this interview actually take these words of wisdom and apply it. So with this, we will move on to the next segment, and I suppose this would be your favorite one, being an all-rounder. So, but before I ask my first question about being an all-rounder, I wanted to ask, so what were you, a batting all-rounder, a bowling all-rounder?
I was a batting all-rounder, so I was an opening batsman and I used to bowl off spin. And I was a reasonable fielder. I wouldn't drop catches, but I wasn't a very quick diving kind of fielder. At that time, we never used to dive much. But in my bowling, I was economical. I was taking a couple of wickets in my local matches. But my batting was my forte. My technique was good. And even now I play. I made a video recently in the lockdown playing with my kids. And I was playing pretty straight. So I got lots of praise on that video that your bat is still coming straight. So I think being an all-rounder is very important in cricket as well as in life. And from cricket, we learn that an all-rounder can never be dropped because he will lose either take wickets or he'll score runs. And that's important.
So since you talk about being an all-rounder, since you were also an all-rounder in your cricketing days, how important it has become to be an all-rounder in today's time? So you'll have to be good at one thing, but then there are multiple things that you should have knowledge about. So in today's context, how important it has become?
It is extremely important to be multidimensional, being an all-rounder in life. You see, what happens when you're unidimensional, that means you are very good at one thing, which you have to be. Yes. But you have no other life. You have to know, supposing you're a chemistry professor, you have to also have something like music or art or photography in your life. I feel that being just a chemistry professor without the ability to be creative elsewhere may not be fulfilling. So you have to have on a Sunday going for nature walks, you are part of an NGO, you are part of some kind of laughter club, something else has to be there in your life. In all-round abilities, you can also be a speaker, you can be a history teacher, but you have interest in astronomy. There is no harm in that. It is totally different. It is like doing a major and a minor course in a university. You are specializing in 2 things. Here in life, you can specialize in 12 things also. You may not, as you rightly said, be great at all of them, but you can be very good at one and you can be reasonably good at some. Life becomes multi-dimensional and more fulfilling. And then you have things to fall back on. When things are not going well, you know your outlets are available.
And so how did these things actually help you? Because while you were being an IAS officer, you had started writing, you was sending your work to newspapers. So how did that help you in your professional career also?
It really helped. Actually, you're absolutely right. It helped me so much that you see the stress release was there. I knew that I have a busy week ahead. I am the director of so-and-so department. I have so many meetings. Chief Secretary will call me. And then this is going to happen. Then some paper is to be prepared. Then I have to go to Delhi and attend a meeting in Government of India. But then I know that on Sunday I have a cricket match. Right? And I look forward to that. So the whole week I'm energized. That okay, this is all going to be, I love my work also. But work could be a burden at times. So then I say, okay, Sunday I have a cricket match, I'm looking forward. And once I play that cricket match for the next 4 or 5 days, anyway, I'm bouncing. I'm feeling good about life. So being an all-rounder means also your company may be different at different times. Supposing I'm bored of my colleagues or I am not finding that kind of conversation which I need with my colleagues, then I may have friends of my school, I may have friends of my cricket team, I may have friends of my writing circle, I may have friends who love music. So it becomes a kind of multi-dimensional life. And that makes you, handle stress and boredom and fatigue much better.
And so one thing that, I have personally observed that what excuse that people give is, ki bahut sara kaam hai, I have too much of work, I don't have time for this. But what they don't realize is this is as important as your work because then your productivity increases.
I totally agree. In fact, your productivity so much increases that if you are giving more time to the work and no time to yourself, your work will not be very good. And I'll quickly give you the story of the woodcutter, which I have mentioned in other places.
Yes.
A woodcutter was told that you cut as much wood as you can from morning till evening, and it will all be yours. And by 5 o'clock, he collapses because his axe is blunt, his body is tired, he's madly cutting and cutting. Had he sharpened his axe, had he rested for 1 hour or half an hour, he would have been fresh to cut till night. But what we do, we tire ourselves out with work. We don't have that smartness to go for a vacation, go for a music concert, spend time differently. Otherwise, what we do, we spend 12 hours at work. If we do this kind of all-round activity, even 6 hours will be enough. We'll be more efficient.
So talking about these all-round, activities, one thing that is really crucial is reading. And you have also spoken on the subject, read a book, write a book. So how much do you think reading is essential to in enhancing an individual's personality? Because now are the times where... Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
I think this is a vital question and an important question. I always say that in a conversation, in a gathering, of course, nowadays we don't have gatherings, but we will soon. And when we have gatherings, I see this youngster is talking in a very balanced way. He's got new ideas. That means he's been reading. A person who reads is visibly different from others in a conversation. A conversation is a very important aspect of life. If I have read books, it will come out in my conversation with you or with anyone else. Now I have the autobiography of a yogi here. I must show it because it's my favorite book. It is Paramahansa Yogananda, world famous book. I talk about it many times, and he's such a great, inspiring saint from whom we can learn so much. So it's very, very important to read anything, autobiographies, biographies. You can read fiction, you can read non-fiction, but reading books gives you another dimension to your personality.
So since you mentioned the word being calm, we were researching about you, and you had somewhere mentioned being calmly active and being actively calm. So if you could throw more light on that.
Yeah, so actually that is a quote from Paramahansa Yogananda, whose book I just showed. And he said this, be calmly active and actively calm. And it's a very important point if you look at it carefully. We are all active people. We are in 2020. We are not in 1920 here. So we have to keep on running in a way. But the mind can still be calm. The mind can remain not restless. If your mind is not restless, he says, be like a pendulum. When you are in action mode, you are swinging from one end to another. But when the pendulum comes to the center, the pendulum settles down still. And then till the next activity, that pendulum remains still. So keep your mind calm between periods. And actively calm means that calmness is a goal. Yes. Calmness is my goal. I will be actively pursuing this goal of calmness. I will look at my mind every 1 hour, 2 hours, every night. How was I today? Was I calm? Was I cool? Was I angry? Was I irritated? How was I? Tomorrow I'll work more on my calmness. And calmness means better physical health. Your stress levels go down. Your physical health, your lifespan may improve if you're a calmer person. And your mental health as well as your spiritual health will improve. So it's a wonderful quote to live by.
Yes, sir. So with this, we move on to the next question. So since we talked about, taking bold decisions, and you took a bold decision in your life when you decided that you want to discontinue your career as an IAS officer and start a second innings into writing and reading. And as you've mentioned, it's a very tough decision. You have a coveted job, you have people around you. How did you take that decision of, saying to yourself, no, this is something that I really want to do and I will go ahead with it?
Yeah, so it was a long period when I was thinking about it, and I served for 26 years, as you know, 19 years in HCS, 7 in IAS. So when I joined IAS, I was very eager and I was very happy with my work. After a few years, I realized that I don't want to do this till the age of 60, which is the retirement age. At the age of 50, I took BRS and I thought about it, I planned about it, I was ready to jump into other things. Actually, I became a motivational speaker in service, and some of these Tedx talks are from the service period. Many of them are after that. Most of my work has been after VRS, which was 3 years ago now. But the point is that I was able to take that decision because I had this talent in me to be a motivational public speaker and an advisor to a university, Shoolini University, visiting professor, writer. But I do say to anyone who needs to change his career or her career, that take that decision consciously, take time over it, think about it, don't take it in a hurry. And I would say that when you are sure of yourself, then take the plunge. And I thought that 26 years of service to the nation was a good period. It's not like I changed after 5 years and came out. I was very happy to work for 26 years. Now I'm very happy to be doing what I'm doing. And it's very important for someone like me, I think, to be talking to the youth. Now, like your show, this will take me to so many young people who will understand what I'm trying to say. And because I'm an ex-IAS officer, perhaps they listen to me a little more. So that's why I took this decision that let me go out and inspire others.
So talking about a lot of youth that this video will go to, one of the decisions that youths have to take is how do they decide their career? So they say there is one thing that we think we are good at, then there is one thing that we are actually good at. In some people's case, in case of some people, both the two are the same thing. For example, in your case, I'll take your example. Initially, you might have thought that cricket is something I want to follow and representing at the, playing state at the age of 19. But then you finally realize, no, administrative services is something that I want to go for. So, sir, now students, there is this confusion. How do they actually decide their career? What would advice you would like to give to them?
I think firstly, they have to go with their heart, and that has to be the career they love. They may be good at it or they may not be good at it. The point is that if they have passion for something, they must pursue that. And pursuing something you're passionate about will give you that kind of happiness in your, at least you won't, it is said that if you love your work, you don't have to work even a single day. So you look forward to going to that, whatever you do. Now, if you are good at something, but you think you want to do something else, then that has to be practically decided. Supposing you're very good at being a chartered accountant, very good at numbers, figures, but you want to be a fashion photographer, right? Yes. Now, being a fashion photographer is a creative skill. You love it, but you may not be as good at it. So try it out, but have that chartered accountant profession backing you up, and be ready for going there. What I would suggest is that if you are good at something, go with that and fall in love with it if you can, and be there. And your passion can be your hobby, can be your pastime, can be your Sunday activity. If you are not going to get a life and a career out of your passion, that could be whatever it is, photography or writing or cricket or acting, then at least it can be a part of your life. And your life becomes that all-round the life which we're talking about. But your bread and butter comes from your job. And that job has to be something which you have to make friends with.
So taking the second part of this question. So when we talk about taking career decisions, parents play a very integral role in that. So sir, what advice would you like to give to the parents? First, in one thing that obviously every parent thinks good about their child. There is absolutely no doubt in it. But then we have also observed that most of the parents comparing, their child with somebody else and saying he's good at that thing. Why are you not good at that? So what advice would you like to give to them?
This question I've been asked many, many times, a very important one, that when parents compare their children with others. So I was in a hall and a young boy asked this question. I thought about it to the 500 boys who were watching. I said, your parents love you, that's for sure. They mean well, but sometimes their methods may be wrong. They're comparing you this, that, and the other. You may be better than those boys they're comparing you with in certain things. And they may be better than you in certain other things. Understand that your parents want to encourage you to do better. Their methods may often be in a way, or their tongue may be, like caustic at times. They say things that they should not say. Parents also have to control themselves. So recently I spoke on this subject. The key is to continue communication between parent and children. If they can continue communicating and if they can continue talking to each other, what happens? Teenagers and grown-up kids often go into the shell. They start talking to friends more than parents. So parents have to ensure that when the children are growing, they maintain that understanding, communication between each other. And this kind of problem will not arise. And parents should rather encourage their children instead of putting pressure on them.
Yes. So talking about career decisions, education, as we all know, there's a new education policy that has been rolled out. And sir, since you have been into e-governance, so talking about the importance of technology, for example, one of the crucial change was that from the very early age, from 6th standard, coding will be taught. So, on one hand, and I'll give you data about this, on one hand, you can see that a student in 4th standard or 5th standard, he learns to use a mobile. But on the other hand, we have data that, every year, almost 15 lakh engineers pass out. But out of those 15 lakhs, only 6 to 7% are employable. So they are eligible. 100% of them have degrees, but only 6% are eligible to get a job because they don't have that technical skill. One of the reason being because this is not introduced as something which is creative, which is fun. Getting into engineering, getting into medical was like a default process. Now people have started looking into different careers also. So how important this step is going to be, where we are, making children aware about technology from such a young age?
I think it's important, but I think the children's lives need to be balanced. You see, coding is something which India is good at. Indians have been good at software. And graduates passing out of colleges actually know coding. But they're not employable because they can't speak, because they don't have well-rounded personalities, because they don't have soft skills. I've spoken to lots of industrialists. I've been director of information technology and industries. The employability depends on other things than their knowledge only. And knowledge is important, but also their all-round skills, their personalities. So I think we need to introduce, apart from these things, we need to introduce a lot of social emotional learning, emotional intelligence. We need to introduce communication, soft skills. We need to introduce how to deal with ladies or the boys, how to deal with the girls, how to talk to the elders. These kinds of trainings will be very, very important. Behavioral training is extremely important. And then they will become more employable when they pass out. Knowledge is something which is in the books and in the computers. That is not difficult for any Indian to aspire for. Indians are pretty intelligent to pick up knowledge. But the personality part and the social emotional learning, that is the key.
So I think you talked about a very, very important point about building an overall personality rather than just having the knowledge. And sir, I have seen a lot of people, let's say even MBAs. So they have all the knowledge, they have all the degree, but when it comes to presenting themselves, because at the end of the day, you have to present yourself, whether in front of a recruiter or wherever you are going, that is some part that they are lacking, that is building a personality. So sir, how did you manage to do this? Since you are a public speaker, you give motivational talks, this is a profession that you really liked doing. So how did this come to you naturally, or was it something that you learned over the years?
I think it's to do with 3 or 4 things. One is the upbringing. The parents, if they are their personality is good, then obviously that rubs off on the children. The parents are role models. However, if you read books, if you watch videos, if you work hard on your personality skills, if you speak to a mirror, a camera, and if you are confident and put some time ahead for personality development, then any background, any upbringing, you can be having a great personality. And I personally worked on it in terms of it came to me because of my interactions. It came to me. I also grew as a speaker. It was not that I was speaking so comfortably all my life. I've become a speaker more in the last 7 years or 5 years. And it also became because of my reading, my interactions with others, learning, watching. So it's an attitude to life also, that also matters.
So with this, we'll have almost come to the end of the segment. And before I go on to the last 3 questions, I would like to ask you one question. And this is something that a question that has been going on in the mind of a lot of youths in the country. Right now, given the situation where times have changed, a panic sort of a situation has been created, when we talk just pure in terms of jobs. So a lot of people, they are seeing this situation as, uh, how do we actually use this time, how do we prepare for the job, because uh, maybe there are going to be layoffs, maybe companies will not hire us, maybe all in a college where 100 students used to get placed, it will get down to 30 or 40. So how do students actually make good use of this time and make sure that when a company comes or when an opportunity comes, they are very well prepared?
I think this is a very important point. This is the time when they can improve their personalities. They can come out. I often say that if you're at this level, you come out at a higher level from this lockdown period, because you can upgrade your skills. You can speak to a camera, 5 to 10 minutes, speak on one topic to the camera or to your friend or to your sister, brother, and get out of that inhibition or that hesitation. If you start speaking confidently every day, after a month, you will be perfectly fine. I took up a little bit of singing with my wife. We started recording some songs in this period just for fun. Now we are becoming better with practice. It is not something we used to do, but we are getting better and better. So practice will make perfect, and read a lot of books. That will help you. Make sure that you speak well on whatever topic or discussion takes place, and smile a lot. Be cheerful.
Sir, I really hope, my friends, students in my college and students in the college of all other colleges in India really learn from this and actually apply this and, move ahead in life. So, sir, with this, we'll come to the last 3 questions. So, sir, who has been your inspiration throughout your journey in life?
Well, earlier it was my father and mother. They were such beautiful, great parents, and I lost them early. Then obviously people I looked up to, some great officers in the service. I wouldn't like to name them, but there are some who were role models. And then I started following Paramahansa Yogananda. So I look up to him as my guru, even though he's not alive anymore. His teachings are so brilliant. I look up to him. And I've had role models in cricket also. Gavaskar, Sunil Gavaskar was my favorite, then Sachin Tendulkar. And I really feel that we should have somebody who inspires us. I also feel inspired by Lata Mangeshkar. I think she's a fantastic, outstanding human being, has brought so much joy for so many decades to so many people. And even today, her voice is so magical when we hear the old songs. So I have been inspired by these people.
Yes, sir. So the second question, so in the current cricketers that are there, who's your favorite all-rounder?
All-rounder in the current ones, I thought my all-time favorite is Kapil Dev. There's no doubt. I've seen him playing and he was a fantastic player. I think I like Ravindra Jadeja a lot. He bats with good technique. He's a great fielder and he's a good bowler. I also like Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. They are extremely good batsmen.
Yes, sir. And so with this, I'll come to the last question. So, sir, right now, what is your ultimate goal?
Right now, my goal is to spread happiness. I think the ultimate goal of life is actually happiness and not success. And I'm also doing so through my talks and through my books. My book, Finding Success Within, is doing pretty well. So my goal is to promote that book, make it reach all over India. And here it is. In fact, I'll just show you a glimpse. Finding Success Within by Vivek Atray. That's my book. It's available on Amazon. And I'm also doing a lot of these motivational speeches. So trying to send this message of emotional intelligence and happiness and positive thinking throughout the country, and basically rise in stature as a speaker and a writer.
Thank you, sir. So with this, we have come to the end of the interview. Sir, I would like to say it was a pleasure hosting you and listening to you in these 40 to 45 minutes. I have learned a lot, that it takes a lot to reach a level where you have reached, and how to have that energy in life, how to have that positive attitude in life, that no matter what comes, because I've seen even right now when this is a lockdown situation, you are still shooting videos from your camera, the one that will be going live today at 6:30 also, that's the one. So that is an attitude that I would definitely take with me, and I would also recommend all my colleagues, students of my age, whoever is listening to this, to take these valuable points. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on to the show.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you very much.
Yes.